The Soldiers is a movie about young men engaged in violence, trying to make their way back to the crib, but on the way, a bunch of bums and ops are trying to stop them. I've seen some of you saying I should go over it. I mean, not all or even most of you, but still enough that I felt why not. I made a little reference to it in my Mad City music video, but I didn't really watch the movie back then. I just looked up the song on Genius to see what movie he was referencing, but now I finally watched it, and I'm here to go over it. So the movie starts out with some comic depicting Greeks from a minute ago being down bad because they got left in the cuts in Iranian territory, but luckily they had a real one to lead them on. Then it cuts to a bunch of guys in New York getting ready to take the bus to some meeting. It appears that for this movie, we'll be rapping for the lowlifes as we see the bums of society all getting ready to do something. One of the gangs we're following is led by a Negro who tells some other guy that the person that's calling the meeting is some quadruple OG named Xerxes who runs the streets and that they need to be on their best behavior. Also, they have to go without the sticks because it has to be a peaceful event. So there's a lot of irrelevant and lame gangs being shown, and they're each supposed to send some niggas to Congress so there can be full representation among the weirdos. When they finally get there, Xerxes is standing on some platform stating the obvious, but since everyone in the crowd is low IQ, they think he's really saying something. He goes on about how he was able to get them all together without it being a t-shirt printing festival, and how they have the numbers on their side, and that 12 isn't about it, so they should be the ones running the streets. So obviously, the scums are really feeling it. But then some grown-ass men in the crowd start passing around a strap like it's a blunt, until it gets to one guy who uses it to put Xerxes in his blunt, which causes a panic, and 12 swoops in to make things even worse, as they do best. But at least one of the soldiers was able to see what happened, so it looks like things may be remedied. But of course not, because then this would be a short film. So instead, the real ones try to call out the limbs for what they did, but they just claim the leader of the soldiers is the one who was tweaking. And just like that, a whole bunch of niggas start rushing the Negro, and it causes the group to have to do the dash. By the time they regroup, they're all in some graveyard, and the second in command takes charge now that their leader is MIA. He goes over the mission plan to get on the train back home with the rest of the group, but of course there has to be that one tryhard just doing too much, and he questions his authority, cause I guess he wants to be their Führer instead. But then they all agree to get over it, as some guy disrespects the grave. So it cuts to the Black Liberation Army underground, and I guess Xerxes was their leader, and they bought the weirdest falsehoods about the soldiers being behind the L they took. It cuts back to the soldiers, and they're trying to cross the road to safety. Then they see a bunch of ops on a car, trying to make things harder than it has to be for them. Just to make things even worse, the ops circle back when they see their train come back, so now they have to put their legs to use. Even though they're on a vehicle that can go way faster than a human, the bum-ass ops can't keep up, with a couple of youths escaping on foot. Fortunately, the soldiers managed to make it back to the trains, so all the limbs couldn't do their job. Then it cuts to the weirdo grown man who actually did get Xerxes out of the way, and he gets the message that the Black Liberation Army wants to swoop up with the soldiers, but the weirdo is on a quest to put them on a shirt. Then he disrespects the woman behind the cash register, so there's that. Eventually, the soldiers make it to some neighborhood where they come across some nobodies that think they have territory. Instead of immediately engaging in jihad, the leader of the soldiers and another decide to go in peace and touch the leader of the nobodies. The nobody tells them that they're about it, but not a single person besides them has seen or heard them put in any work, so we as viewers know there's some lames. But the soldiers are forced to cap and pretend like they actually deserve respect, so you know, it looks like there's gonna be a peaceful resolution. But then some hoe from the window starts running her mouth, and she tries to cop a jacket from the soldiers by calling the nobodies soft for letting foreigners march in their territory. So they tell them to take off their jackets, but like established earlier, they still aren't going. Then the nobodies get lost while the soldiers do what they want and go through the neighborhood. After they leave, that hoe that's trying to start stuff goes around for some more lame activities until she gets caught by the real ones. And it turns out she was doing all this because she has a hard on for action and wants to live an actually exciting life, free from the losers that walk her streets. But right when the soldiers are about to make their next move, the nobodies come back around because now they have the poking sticks with them and they mean business. But as we all know by now, they aren't really about it. So the soldiers get ready to deal with them by making a bomb. They throw it at a nearby car, which causes it to explode in a way that shows the inner pussy lying within each of the nobodies, and the sight makes them stand back. At the same time, the soldiers fuck off into the train station and take the hoe with them. But as they're about to leave, they realize they did the most because they could have just beaten the bricks out of the bums that were on their asses. After they escape, the Black Liberation leader is told that the irrelevance failed to stop the soldiers, but they were relevant, so in the end it doesn't really matter. Then it cuts to the grown-ass weirdo, and he hears that the soldiers are going to the same place as swarming with 12, so he thinks it'll be a perfect opportunity for him to catch a body. While the soldiers are taking the train back home, they get stopped by 12, so it's time for them to do the dash. But during the chase, they get split up into 3 groups, one with 4 guys, one with 3 guys, and one with some guy and the girl. The guy and the girl end up getting caught up by 12, so the guy throws hands with one of them to give the girl a chance to escape, but in the process, he ends up getting put on a shirt by a train when 12 pushes him over the rail, so that's an L. After that, the group of 3 guys manages to get on a different train to the meeting point, while the group of 4 guys runs out of the train station altogether. But the guys that escape the station get confronted by a baseball team or something, so once again they have to do the dash, but these guys are really on their asses. Like, it feels like they get chased across half the city or something. But during the chase, 2 of them manage to sneak behind the crowd, so now the Demise team is only chasing after 2 of them. Eventually, the 2 in the front decide they're done being pussies in the face of aggression from the ops, and they start catching phase with all the baseball niggas, while 2 in the back hit them from behind, and after it's all done, they manage to make sure all the ops are put on stretchers, so it looks like another round has been won by the real ones. While this is going on, the 3 soldiers that made it on the train are in the meetup location, and are waiting for the rest of the crew to show up, but while there, they notice some eggs in the corner looking their direction, and they figure the others can wait while they get their nuts off. Back at the other place, the 4 soldiers are walking after taking a W when they come across a woman just sitting on a bench, but unlike their co-workers in the train station, these men pay random females no mind, except for one guy though, because he decides to stay back and get his dick wet because he's a weak link. His brothers and Om try to tell him that going back is dead because they have a mission to complete, but he's not trying to hear it, so they just let him do what he's gonna do. So the guy walks up to the woman on the bench, tries to feel her out, you know how it goes. But I guess 2 of the guys have a change of heart, because he did bail them out earlier, so they decide to go back and make sure everything is in order with the hose, while the leader continues on to the train station. So the guy with the woman is about to bust, when all of a sudden she handcuffs him to the bench, because it turns out she's 12, and she's been waiting for a low IQ like him to get caught up. So when the 2 guys that went back to check about a nigga get there, they discover that he's about to be part of the system, so it looks like it's time to vacate the premises. So the guy alone goes back to the station to reconnect with the posse, but instead he looks at that girl from earlier, and seeing that she hasn't exactly helped him with anything, he's not trying to be with her. When he asks her about what happened to the guy that was protecting her, she says that they got caught up by 12, and only she managed to escape, so now the man has to deal with yet another of his own, falling victim to the plot. Then they see 12, and he gets on their ass, so the guy has to put him down, and they manage to escape while running in front of a train for some reason. Back to the 3 guys from earlier, they end up going with the females and having a gay old time, and the females tell them that the soldiers are actually lit out in these streets, so of course they know about them. Then they get inside the crib, and one of the girls tells them they can pick which hole they want to stick it in, and also what the name of their set is, so finally things are looking up for them. Back to the main plots, the leader and the girl are talking, and he's not really feeling her because she does the most, so they have some story and porn conversation, whatever, and then they start feeling each other, because of course they do, but he's not 100% there yet, so he's just trying to move on, but she really wants to get off, so they split up, but like I said, it's whatever. Back at the crib, the females are wasting time as usual, and it looks like the guys are about to get a break, but then one of them pulls out a strap and starts blasting at them, because they think they're the ones that put Xerxes on the news, and there's a fight scene. You know they had to slap a couple hoes, but in the end, they had no aim, and the niggas were able to escape, but one of them got shot, so that's an L. But now they know that the reason that everyone has been on their ass is because they think they're responsible for Xerxes' deletion. After that, the leader's walking by himself at the station when some bum op spots him and starts stalking. Then the whole set is reunited except for the leader, so it's time to go on the rest of the journey. So their girl meets back up with the leader, and they have to deal with the fact that they're surrounded by ops, but the leader sees the rest of the set walking by, so he signals them to move positions, and they all hide out in the bathroom, waiting for the bumps to make their move. The ops enter the room, and are about to do what they do best, but the soldiers come out the stalls and do them dirty, and manage to escape. After that, some guy tells the Black Liberation Army about who really got Xerxes out of the way, so the soldiers are on the train back to their home neighborhood. But when they get there, they notice that they're being stopped by the weirdos who are responsible for all of this. Then they go to the beach to catch one last fade there. When they all meet up, the main weirdo reveals that he's the one that turned Xerxes into a pack, and he did it just because he's a psychopath. Then he pulls out the heats to make some more blunt feeling material, but the leader manages to throw his blade into his hand and make him drop it and fall on the floor like the little bitch he really is. Right around this time, the Black Liberation Army pulls up and reveals that they know now who wet up their leader, and they tell the soldiers that they're free to go, and they move in to punish the weirdo. So the movie ends with the main hero just having a good time on the beach. Overall, this movie was cool. Even though I like it, nothing about it really sticks out to me in a way that a lot of the latest movies do. Let me know what else I should go over in the comments, and remember to not give speeches to crowds of degenerates, because one of them might ruin the movement. Okay guys, make sure that when you subscribe you hit the notification button, because that lets you know whenever I make a new video, and as always, thanks for watching.